Hey everybody, here's a quick video on some of the things to think about if you're like me and you're dealing with an autoimmune disease. I'm Joel from Amaryllis Health over here in Canada. A big thanks to Coach Sheila from the Primal Zone for allowing me to share some of this info today. So I have Crohn's disease and I was diagnosed in 1993. 7 years later, I had surgery to remove a large part of the colon as well as my ileocecal valve and my appendix. So I have some digestive challenges. That's okay. I'm living large, medication free, and enjoying my primal lifestyle and my primal diet, but also a few other little restrictions. So quick background for that. I actually started my journey AIP, which is an autoimmune protocol, before I ever got into primal. And in fact, I sort of graduated myself to a primal diet and lifestyle, which I'm thriving on today. So when I was AIP, it's a full elimination style diet where you take out a lot of known offenders that can trigger autoimmune symptoms, and then you reintroduce them slowly to see which ones are the ones that are messing with your system. An important note, a lot of people have some sort of issue that they're dealing with, a disease or symptoms, and they don't actually know that it's autoimmune. There's a pretty long list, over 110 in fact. So let's take a look at some of the ones that we know about now. The list is long and here are some of them. Crohn's and colitis, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, HASIMOTO'S thyroiditis. And that's a tricky one because so many people get diagnosed incorrectly with hypothyroidism and never know it's autoimmune and should be treated differently. Some different nerve neuropathies, fibromyalgia, lupus, psoriasis, even eczema. That's right, so many people with dry, itchy skin applying product after product, and really, their skin is under attack from the inside out, a condition of inflammation that starts with the immune system attacking otherwise healthy cells. There are so many more, like I said, over 100 that we know of, and a lot more suspected. For me, I really wanted to do all I could to keep my autoimmune condition at bay. And at the time, AIP was what I learned about, and that autoimmune protocol worked very well. There are a lot of restrictions and a lot of eliminations that you make so you can really get a clear picture on what it is that's affecting your system. But I have clients who are on a primal diet and lifestyle, and they're really happy with that, and it's not quite as restrictive. But some of the big ones are already taken out, starting with these ones right here. Grains, especially gluten. And you can also throw in beans and legumes. And the issue is the negatives outweigh any positives you might get from these foods for most people in general, but especially autoimmune sufferers. When we talk about anti-nutrients, we're referring to the plant molecules that are working against us. Their job is to protect the plant itself from people like us eating it. Phytic acid, tannins, oxalates, lectins, all with different enzyme inhibitors prohibiting proper digestion. We get bloating, gas, indigestion, food baby. And speaking of those things, how about gluten? It's the most evil of the bunch, it would seem. Here's Dr. Tom O'Brien, the author of The Autoimmune Fix, to explain what happens as that dinner roll tries to leave your stomach.
What I learned is that when food comes out of the stomach into the small intestine, that's where the sentries are standing guard from your immune system. That if anything gets out of the stomach that's not supposed to be coming down into the intestines, your immune system gets activated and causes a lot of inflammation. When you have that inflammation in the first part of the small intestine, you don't absorb your vitamins and minerals the way that you should. It's called malabsorption. When you have a sensitivity to gluten, you can't break down the food in the stomach. For everyone, it goes into the small intestine and triggers that inflammation.
Okay, so a couple of more possible trouble spots to at least make you aware of, starting with nightshade vegetables. But wait, vegetables are healthy, right? Well, they are unless they aren't. Healthy is a relative term, so one food might work very well for somebody, but for others, and especially those with an autoimmune condition, maybe not so much. Sometimes it's difficult to get your head around. This family of vegetables was given the label because they apparently grow better in shade and flower at night. But more importantly, they contain an alkaloid that can be difficult for our systems. Most people, no problem. But if you're predisposed to autoimmune, it can be a trigger, so it's best to be aware. Potatoes, tomatoes, peppers like red, green, yellow, chilies, etc., eggplant, they all fall in there and would be worth taking out and reintroducing to find out if there are any issues for you. Okay, one last subject that I'll touch on, and it's a little bit touchy for those of us who are enjoying our primal diets and lifestyles, and that's eggs and dairy. Now, there's a lot of discussion about which sorts of dairy, and some are better than others. Of course, a nice aged cheddar is going to be better than, say, pasteurized fat-free milk. But eggs, I mean, come on. They're nature's perfect food. Well, at least we think that, and they really can be if you're okay with them. Egg allergies are a lot more common than we often think, even more common in young children, but not at all unheard of for adults. There's a protein in the egg that can cause an abnormal reaction in the, you guessed it, immune system. Eggs have two allergic components, the yolk and the white. Some people are good with one, but not the other, and vice versa. So it's definitely worth thinking about and being aware that this food has definitely been known to cause a problem, at least. As for that dairy conundrum, it's just that upward of 75% of the planet is actually lactose intolerant for various evolutionary reasons, and we know that especially poorly produced dairy causes inflammation, another food to at least think about when the time is right. So listen, the last thing I wanted to do was sound so woeful for those of us participating in the Primal Challenge and just starting to learn what works well for our bodies. Those of us with autoimmune conditions can thrive very well with a primal diet and lifestyle, and I'm living proof of that, so I encourage you to stick with it. And when the time is right, you can talk to your coach about maybe removing some of the other trigger foods if you want to take things to another level. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay well and stay primal.